What is up, everybody? I'm NoLucksGiven, and today we are going to be starting our look at the Ultra League in the GamePress Go Battle League Gauntlet. Now, if you haven't seen the previous coverage where we talk about the Great League in the GamePress Go Battle League Gauntlet, I definitely recommend going back and watching that first. This video is going to contain a bunch of spoilers for that first league, but for those of you that have already watched, we have a really exciting Ultra League portion. I've teased it a little bit previously, and some of the other competitors were really just like, no Lux, we gotta get this Ultra League stuff out as soon as possible. All of us were super excited about it and just having a lot of fun in the Ultra League. You're going to see all of the Ultra League staples. You're gonna see your Registeels, you're gonna see your Giratinas, and there's a Cresselia or two in there as well. But today we're going to be looking at Gyarados teams from both Lorma and Manaholix, and honestly, they probably have the least exciting teams out of anybody in the Ultra League. Here's a few of the spicy picks you are going to be able to watch us play in the Ultra League. We've got Shiftry, we've got Zangoose, we've got Crawdaunt, we've got Ampharos, and we also have a Shadow Zapdos. So a lot of players brought some really silly Pokemon, some really spicy teams here, and we are super excited to share those battles with you. As far as Ultra League content goes, I'm going to break down the other videos that you are going to see in the Ultra League, and these videos are going to pretty closely follow how the content rolled out for the Great League. Today you can also watch a video on Ryan Swag's channel because, believe it or not, this man was able to sweep the GamePress Go Battle League Gauntlet yet again. So you can find coverage of Ryan Swag's battles over on his channel. Today though, for this video, we are going to be looking at Lorma and Manaholix, who actually both brought the exact same team into the Ultra League. They are both going to be rocking this Registeel Gyarados Giratina squad. And then coming soon, we are going to have a video featuring myself and T Forgery, as well as a video featuring Your Calc Professor and CuddyWow, the Pogo Raids guys. So make sure to subscribe if you want to see the full coverage of the Ultra League in the GamePress Go Battle League Gauntlet. Like I said, we got some really crazy teams and some really fun games upcoming. There's one programming note that I also want to address. The players and I have decided that we are actually going to be playing in the Master League, not in the Premier Cup. When the Premier Cup was first announced, I thought it would be a little bit wider of a format than the Master League, and then some shakeups to the Master League actually kind of make us feel like the Master League is a more open format right now, a little bit more possibilities for team combinations. And with the Premier Cup metagame looking like only a few Pokemon really currently are going to be viable, I took a poll internally of the competitors left in the competition, and basically everybody said they don't care, or they at least prefer Master League slightly. So we are going to go ahead for the next round of this competition, and that is going to be in Master League instead of the Premier Cup as previously announced. To kick things off, we are going to be looking at Lorma versus Manaholix. For my coverage in the Great League of the Gauntlet, I grouped both of these guys together because they were both leading with Umbreon. Now, they both had different teams after that fact, but because they led with Umbreon, I grouped them together in the same video, and I don't know if I willed this into the universe in some respect, because they in the Ultra League are both leading with Registeel. But not only that, they are both also playing Gyarados and Giratina. That's right, they showed up with the exact same Pokemon in the exact same order here for the Ultra League. Gyarados is also a Pokemon that I've talked a lot about in the Ultra League. He was one of my favorite Ultra League picks for Season 1, so maybe I like to think that I willed it into the universe in that respect as well, encouraging everybody to try out Gyarados. But these two players are running the exact same squad, so it is a full ditto mirror matchup with one slight difference. Lorma is going to be running Shadow Claw on his Giratina, and Manaholix is going to be running Dragon Breath. But other than that, it is the exact same team. Both of these players are leading with the Registeel, like I said, and they actually continue. I thought this was so funny. They continue the same nature of their battles, both building up to a Focus Blast before switching into Gyarados. This is where the matchup kind of differs from here, because these players don't have identical Gyaradoses. They do have identical Registeels, but they don't have identical Gyaradoses, so Lorma having the worse Gyarados is going to win CMP. And right here, when both of them are able to use a Crunch, Lorma's Crunch is going to go off first, prompting a shield from Manaholix. And then when Manaholix fires back with a Crunch of his own, Lorma is going to let that go unshielded. His Gyarados goes down, and he goes into Giratina to farm off of that Gyarados. So now Lorma is up a shield and ahead on energy. Manaholix makes a pretty smart move here. He goes into the Registeel and then switches into his Giratina to try to catch a Focus Blast on his Giratina. He needs to try to gain energy lead in some way in this matchup, because he's so far behind him. Both of these players have the exact same Pokemon at this point. But Lorma isn't going to fall for it. He's just going to fire off some Flash Cannons on this Giratina, and Giratina's going to do some Shadow Sneaking and deal some damage while it is in here. So at this point, I think we are going to see Giratina get one more Shadow Sneak off. Yep, that's right. And from here, Lorma can just build up a ton of energy and take out this Giratina at his leisure. We are going to see Manaholix Switch Clock come up just in time, but he is not able to switch out. So the Giratina dies to the Flash Cannon, and then Manaholix can bring in his Registeel. And to make matters worse, Lorma actually makes it to the Flash Cannon first. So here is the Focus Blast. I believe that Manaholix is going to bait here with a Flash Cannon, and Lorma doesn't even shield this. And then we see him bring out his Giratina. So Lorma is still up a shield in the matchup. He's going to be able to kill this Registeel pretty easily. So we see the concession from Manaholix. We're going to be looking at some more games from both of these battlers, but I wanted to show off the Ditto mirror matchup first, and they totally mirrored each other, but the difference was that CMP of the Gyarados and Lorma's unwillingness to use a shield there to give himself an energy lead. We saw Manaholix try to overcome that, so he didn't give up even though he was behind. So good on Manaholix for that, but Lorma was still able to earn the victory. Now we're going to watch both of these players battle up against Cuddywow, and Cuddywow has one of the spicier teams in the league. I even forgot about the Typhlosion in this team at the beginning of this video, but it's Typhlosion, Zangoose, Shiftry, so all non-legendary Pokemon. You will have to max out both the Shiftry and the Zangoose, so it's not really a budget team, but it is definitely a spicy team. Now, Lorma's Registeel up against a Typhlosion lead. Lorma is going to switch out immediately, and that is met by a switch into Shiftry from Cuddywow. Now these are going to be neutral Leaf Blades, but Shiftry does hit pretty hard. It's a pretty attack-oriented Pokemon, so yeah, that Leaf Blade does a decent amount of damage. It also means Shiftry's pretty frail, so Cuddywow, kind of fearing for Shiftry, is going to use a shield to protect this Shiftry. I don't think he actually had to do that here. Then he builds up a bunch of energy, and Gyarados gets off another crunch. So at this point, he does have to shield, and he doesn't go for the Leaf Blade still. He tries to farm down the Gyarados, then tries to use a Leaf Blade at the last second, and he loses his Shiftry. So that was a pretty huge moment in the matchup. All of that energy wasted. Some other stuff going on now on the board, and we do have Zangoose up against a Registeel. But Lorma has 2 shields because that Shiftry was totally just thrown out, and Lorma has totally turned this match around. We are going to see super effective Focus Blasts on this Zangoose, take the Zangoose down, but now we are Typhlosion against Registeel. Will Registeel finally use a shield? No. Looks like Lorma has no interest. He's just going to let Registeel go down, and then he goes into Giratina versus Typhlosion with a 2 shield advantage. So from here, Lorma will be able to close this out pretty quickly, but yeah, huge mistakes there from Cuddywao. Definitely too greedy. Using that Shiftry as a farm down was not an option. So Lorma is going to take the first game here against Cuddywao's super sweet team with some less than sweet plays. We'll take a look now at Manaholix's game against Cuddywao and see if Cuddy can play this one any differently and try to get a win. So again, we see that safe switch into Gyarados, this time met by a switch into Zangoose from Cuddywao. Cuddywao is going to win the CMP tie here and use his Night Slash first, and then we see the Crunch come through, and Cuddy is going to go ahead and shield this. And I didn't realize there's a little bit of lag here. I didn't realize until I sat down to do coverage for this game, but something clearly went wrong with that lag. That shield did not work. You can see Cuddywao still has 2 shields despite using one. I guess the players decided not to replay this battle, though that is a pretty huge bug. Like I said, the GamePress Go Battle League Gauntlet is kind of designed to emulate the Go Battle League, and maybe the players just figured, okay, well, that's a bug. Go Battle League has bugs, so let's roll with it. So the players roll with it here. I'm not really sure if we're going to get a totally fair matchup, but it wasn't like a game-breaking bug or anything like that. So we see a switch into Typhlosion, but that just means Registeel is now going to switch out. Cuddy's in a pretty tough spot here, and he's not going to be able to line up that Typhlosion against the Registeel despite his best efforts. It's going to be Giratina versus Typhlosion yet again, and I believe his Shiftry has like barely any health remaining on it too, and we also have 2 shields from Manaholix, so a really rough spot from Cuddywao. We are going to see him fire off a not very effective Blast Burn, which Manaholix will go ahead and shield, and then we see a switch to Shiftry with a foul play. This is just going to eat up another shield here from Giratina, and then probably, oh, we see a Dragon Claw actually to take the Shiftry down. That makes a lot of sense. We can Dragon Claw down the Shiftry, and then we can beat this Typhlosion to another Dragon Claw. We actually don't even have to use a Dragon Claw. It dies to the Shadow Claws. So definitely a weird one there with a pretty bad bug, but that is Pokemon Go, I suppose. So I'll have a talk with the players, and maybe I'll throw something on the screen if the players have any notes on that game. But yeah, one of those shields just not registering from the lag, and honestly, that's a glitch I've never even seen before. I've heard people talk about it, but now to actually see it, that is pretty crazy. One thing that I find really discouraging about PvP isn't just the bugs, it's the fact that there's so many different bugs, and if you're a player that is playing their 25 sets a day in the Go Battle League, you're probably discovering a new bug for yourself almost every day, and then new bugs are being added on a weekly basis. I think if there were some consistent bugs, then it would almost be better. But yeah, the client and the game have a long way to go for sure. And yeah, thank you for Cuddywao to sticking in there and still giving it his best shot despite that pretty horrible bug that he faced in that game. So I just talked with CuddyWow and saw his chat logs back from when this happened, and it was just a glitch. It didn't work, and he said, you know what, it's fine, you can have the win. He's kind of at the bottom of the standings here, and he was a good sport to participate. So yeah, he just let Manaholix have that one and just said, the fate is in Niantic's hands at that point. So thank you to CuddyWow for participating and being a good sport. Yeah, and bugs like that do happen. That's an unfortunate part of the reality of PvP. At the beginning of this video, I was teasing some spicy Ultra League picks, and for our last battle, we are going to be looking at T-Forgery's Crawdaunt. Now, even though Crawdaunt I do think is a pretty spicy pick, I've seen some people talk about it on Twitter, but I haven't personally faced any myself in the Go Battle League. What's interesting though is if we look at the competitions of these teams, it's Giratina, it's Registeel, and then it's a water-type Pokemon. And if that water-type Pokemon was Swampert, these would be pretty meta teams. So really just by changing one Pokemon, it doesn't make the teams that much different, but obviously Crawdaunt has, and Gyarados has, completely different matchups from Swampert. Notably, one of these things that these Pokemon can do is threaten Swampert, because Swampert takes neutral damage from water-type attacks, where these Pokemon get to resist water-type moves. So if you still think Regitina is a good core, this is something that you can do to get a little bit of a heads up in the traditional core mirror matchup, and then Gyarados and Crawdaunt in this case also have some pretty good game against Cresselia, being able to threaten it with dark-type moves. So right off the bat, at the beginning of this battle, Crawdaunt is going to switch out into Giratina, and Manaholix switches into Gyarados. Now this is a pretty interesting switch, because the Crawdaunt definitely could have stayed in against that Registeel. It does take super effective damage from the Focus Blast, so it is a little bit scary, but it's still threatening the Registeel as well. Now we see a huge crunch on the Giratina go unshielded, and T-Forgery is going to build up a bunch of energy. It is a Shadow Claw Giratina, so he's going to fire off the first Dragon Claw, and he just barely is not going to be able to get to that second Dragon Claw. So then T-Forgery comes back into the Crawdaunt, which is going to also eat a crunch from the Gyarados. Now this one is at least resisted, and the Crawdaunt begins to farm down, at which point Manaholix is going to switch into Registeel, and then we see a Crab Hammer from T-Forgery. Then we're going to see T-Forgery switch into Registeel, but Manaholix now has a pretty sizable energy lead, so we are going to see a shield on this Focus Blast, and now we've got some mind games coming. So this is a Focus Blast from T-Forgery. Both players respecting each other enough to not bait. They are just throwing the Focus Blasts, and they are appropriately shielding. Here comes another Focus Blast from Manaholix, and another shield just barely from T-Forgery. I wasn't sure if he was going to shield that one. All right, so then we do see a bait from T-Forgery, but is actually sack swapped into the Gyarados. So a huge loss of energy there regardless, even though it was a bait. Manaholix effectively creates an additional shield using that play. So then we see a Giratina come out from Manaholix, and the Registeel is going to try to start flash cannoning this. Now we do see a switch into Crawdaunt, and Crawdaunt is immediately going to eat a Dragon Claw. So this is a bunch of damage on the Crawdaunt, but it will get off a super effective Night Slash. Night Slash isn't as big as a Crunch, but it is still a lot of damage from an attack-weighted Pokemon like the Crawdaunt. So now we see another Dragon Claw on this Crawdaunt, from Manaholix. He takes out the Crawdaunt, and then he can switch back into Registeel, and despite being down in health points, he is up in energy. So there is the first Focus Blast. We are now going to see a Flash Cannon bait from T Forgery. Manaholix just says, no, I know that this is a Flash Cannon bait. I was counting your energy, and then we are going to see a Flash Cannon finish off T Forgery's Registeel. So that is going to take down the Registeel and win the match with Manaholix up a shield. So pretty well played there from Manaholix. Like I said, I think that the switch out of the Crawdaunt was a little bit interesting from T Forgery, and we'll see in the next video he actually plays his game against Lorma a little bit differently. So if you want to see how that one goes, make sure to hit that subscribe button and stay tuned. We got a bunch of sweet Ultra League content coming out as part of the GamePress Go Battle League Gauntlet this week. I'm also releasing some of my Ultra League content just from Go Battle League play as well, so definitely check that out. You can also find Ryan Swag's games on his channel, so check those out, and I'll leave a link in the video description below if you also want to catch those games. That's going to be it for me, guys, for this video. Thank you very much for watching. I'm NoLucksGiven. Peace!